Welcome to the Jew to You podcast. Basically, if you're looking to return to Judaism, this podcast is just for you. It's a starting point that will help you navigate the wide world of Judaism. I began my journey over 15 years ago and had lots of starts and stops. There are some things that you should know that will keep you from encountering too many turnoffs and keep you going on your journey. Last week, I emphasized that Judaism is an extremely personal religion. You make it your own with the help of rabbis, amazing books, and endless ethics and values. Make sure you go at your own speed. In last week's first episode, I explained that this podcast is all about how it will affect your life for the positive. And if it does, it will make everything on planet Earth better. If you haven't heard the first episode, take the time to listen to it, as it's the most important episode in this series. I promised that this week I would discuss the 10 Commandments and the Sabbath, which I will. But before I do, I want to explain a couple of other things. The first step most people take when beginning their way back to Judaism is to go to a synagogue. Not a bad plan, but if you don't know what kind of synagogue you are entering, it can definitely be a big mistake, a huge turnoff. Judaism is not for me. So let me explain that there are three main denominations of Judaism: Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox. And they all have subdivisions. Quickly stated, Reform services are 90% English, 10% Hebrew. Conservative services are 50% English, 50% Hebrew. And Orthodox services are 90% Hebrew, 10% English. So if the first place you walk into is an Orthodox service, you'll be totally lost. Walk into a conservative service and you'll only be halfway lost. The best place to start would probably be a Reform service, but there are some caveats to Reform denominations that you should know about. You can easily do some research on Reform synagogues, as all denominations have websites. Find out if it's a traditional denomination, as most Reform services contain a huge dose of left-wing politics, and the traditional Reform service is less likely to be political. If traditional is not mentioned on their website, then expect a lot of politics. Now, if left-wing politics appeals to you, go for it. If traditional is mentioned, it's a code word for English services with the emphasis on theology. Personally, I don't go to the synagogue to hear what I can read in the New York Times. Jewish theology, ethics, morals, and values is what I want to hear about. But you should try the Reform service just to become educated about the denomination. You might like it. Conservative services also contain some politics, and Orthodox services stay focused totally on theology, and all politics are frowned upon. Traditional Reform services are somewhat hard to find. If you can't find one and want to stay focused on theology, start with a conservative denomination. As Judaism grows within you, you'll realize that Jewish theology is way above and beyond political ideologies and isms. Another way to vet traditional versus non-traditional Reform services is to see if their website makes mention of political issues like environmentalism, women's reproductive rights, LGBTQ issues, etc. A traditional Reform temple won't make mention of these issues. Also, if any of the rabbis are female, these issues are very likely to come up. I have no dog in this race. I'm just laying it out for you. Probably the best place for you to start is if your local Orthodox temple has an outreach program that meets once per week, like a Friday or Saturday Shabbat service or a weekly class. These outreach programs are all in English, and you'll meet some very accomplished rabbis. I know that Chabad is set up all over the place in almost every town, and they all have outreach meetings. Chabad.org, that's .org, is also a really great website that is very informative and educational. You probably don't know this, but Judaism frowns upon proselytization. We don't go out looking for converts. You won't find Jews handing out pamphlets at the airport. Enter a synagogue and you'll be welcomed. In fact, most rabbis are happy to see you and talk to you for a few minutes. However, they then turn their attention to their congregants, and rightfully so. Every practicing Jew knows that Judaism requires a modicum of self-motivation, which ultimately is a good thing. Please know that, so you don't get turned off if a rabbi doesn't beg you to return or spend an inordinate amount of time with you. The more you return to the services, the more you will be expressing your own internal motivation. So, what can you do today that will kickstart your return to Judaism? Last week, I mentioned a book you can get on Amazon that is a fabulous place to start. If you haven't gotten it yet, buy it today. It's called The Indisputable Truth by Rabbi Aaron Golfez. That's golf, like the game, and EZ. He's young, enthusiastic, and his writing is very clear and easy to read. Also, buy 2 candle holders and a box of Shabbat candles and start lighting them every Friday night at sundown. You can find both the candle holders and candles at your local Judaica store or kosher market. Buy them at those locations if you can, as you will be keeping the money in the family, so to speak. You should know that the Jewish day always begins at sundown on the day before, so the Sabbath begins on Friday night and ends 25 hours later. It took me about a year to figure this out. I used to light Hanukkah candles on the first day and couldn't figure out why I was always a day late. Now you know, so you won't make the same mistake. The first day of Hanukkah begins on the night before at sunset, not that day. Okay, so here we go with what the Sabbath and the 10 Commandments mean to Jews. These explanations are very brief, but if all you do in your Jewish life is observe the Sabbath and do your best to live by the 10 Commandments, you will be a good card-carrying Jew. When lighting candles on Friday night, you'll come to realize that you are psychically connecting with all other Jews of all denominations up and down your time zone, as they are also lighting candles, honoring the 4th of the 10 Commandments, just like you. You should learn the Shabbat prayer as you light the candles. It's just 3 short sentences, easy to learn, and available everywhere, phonetically, on the internet, in Hebrew. Chabad.org has it for sure. Saying the prayer is not a big deal. You will take pride in this psychic connection with your tribe members. By the way, this ritual is reserved for females, but if there are no females in the house, it's perfectly fine for males to observe this Shabbat tradition. Now, what a purist does on a Sabbath day will definitely be different than what you will do. It's important that you simply make your Sabbath day a different day than the other 6 days. According to the Orthodox, you're not supposed to drive, handle money, cook food, light lights, do any business, either in reality or in your head. It's a day of complete rest, a day to be with family and friends. But the Orthodox are purists, and you can create a Sabbath of your own, especially as a newbie, or, as I like to say, Jewbie. I had a traditional Reform rabbi invite me out for a round of golf on Saturday. The Orthodox would not consider that an appropriate Sabbath activity. It's okay. Drive to the course and play golf with your rabbi and or friends. Don't talk business. Be leisurely. See Hashem in the beautiful landscaping and have fun. As a defining part of Judaism is that it's very personal. You can do as little or as much Jewish ritual as you want. But don't be surprised that the more rituals you do will inspire you to do more rituals. The Sabbath changes you. I eat a lot, sleep a lot, and read a lot. I use cruise control in my car, right at the speed limit, where I'm usually driving 5 miles over the speed limit on other days. Cars go whizzing past me, and I don't care. Many more pious Jews would say I'm not really doing the Sabbath correctly, and I acknowledge that they have a right to their opinion. But for me, my Sabbath day is definitely different, and that's all that matters. As I grow in my piety, I will slowly become more of a purist. But this I do know. Hashem values the effort more than the accuracy of the ritual, especially for Jewbies. Hashem doesn't measure your observance level so much as your effort level, and also your capacity to do good. Making the effort to add Jewish rituals into your life increases that capacity. Here's a little story about how adding Jewish rituals into your life changes you. I met a secular, non-religious Jewish woman in her 30s at the dog park who was obviously pretty desperate to marry and have a family. She was seriously dating a non-Jewish man, and we had a discussion about how she would name her children if she married him. She said she'd raise them both Jewish and Christian. I asked her if she felt that might be confusing for the children, and she responded that it might be, but she couldn't find any eligible Jewish men to get serious with. So I bought her 2 candle holders and a box of candles, and she was surprisingly appreciative. I was shocked that she immediately started lighting the candles every Friday night. I was even more surprised when she told me she was taking a class on Kabbalah, which, if you don't know, is Jewish mysticism. It's very difficult. Kabbalah is not in my wheelhouse, but like I say, Judaism is very, very personal, and she absolutely loved the classes. Eventually, she moved away to a different dog park, but the last I heard from her, she was seriously dating her old Jewish boyfriend from high school. So I guess a little bit of Jewish ritual certainly changed the direction of her life for the better. Just as a quick aside, I just mentioned Kabbalah as her path into the study of Judaism. My path is Pirkei Avot. There are many other paths like Hasidim, Musar, Mishnah, Gemara, and more. All are compilations of adages, ethics, and values written by the most intellectual of our forefathers. You will find what suits you best. When you study ethics, you can't help but absorb them into your life. As you refine your own actions in the world, it makes the world a better place. That's the goal of Judaism, and that's when you know you are a Jew. But as a Jew, you can forget all of this. Being a Jew simply means knowing and living by the 10 Commandments. It's really that simple. Not. When you study them, you'll discover that there really are many fine lines of distinction, nuances to all of them. However, you can do it. Most secular, non-religious Jews like you can't name all of the 10 Commandments. If you get 7 or 8, that's pretty good. When I started, I could only name 6 of them. Learning to name them all in the proper Jewish order is just the start. You can study the 10 Commandments forever and still not completely know them. Here's an example. The commandment, do not steal, sounds pretty easy. But take a case like going into a Best Buy store and shop for a TV. Then if you go home and buy that TV on the internet, you are stealing. How are you stealing? You've stolen the time of the salesman. Do you think Best Buy is there as a showroom for internet vendors? Obviously it's not. That whole scenario makes the world a worse place to live in. Your action and the actions of others doing the same thing might cause Best Buy to close some or all of its stores. Do you take sugar packets from restaurant tables? That's stealing. Don't do it. So, you see, you can study and dissect each of the 10 Commandments in the same way. But when you study them, it makes you ethically a much better person. And as I said in last week's episode, the whole thing about Judaism is to do good, which makes the world a better place. Every mundane action you make draws Hashem down into the world. So now we've taken care of the 4th Sabbath and 8th stealing commandments. Let's go to number 5. Honor your mother and father. This means that you don't necessarily have to love them. Just honor them. If you love them, that's great. But make sure that at the very least they have a roof over their heads, clothing on their backs, and food in their belly. But as usual, the commandment doesn't only mean that. It also means to honor all authority figures, like police, doctors, nurses, military, etc. Be respectful. When authority figures are disrespected, the world becomes a worse place. Number 6 is do not murder. It doesn't say do not kill. Hebrew has 2 different words for kill and murder. The Jewish 10 Commandments uses the Hebrew word for murder. So you are permitted to use lethal force if someone is coming after you to harm you. Life is sacred, repeatedly stated in the Torah, and if you have to kill to protect yourself and others, then you can kill to protect. In fact, the only time it is permissible for a Jew to lie is to save a life. Do not commit adultery is number 7. This hurts 4 people. The 2 adulterers and their 2 spouses. And if divorces ensue, it hurts all of the offspring. Do not lie is number 9. I had someone tell me recently that they only tell small, white lies. Oh, yeah, right. You only tell small lies, and if you want me to believe that if it's a big issue you won't lie, I know you will. There are no qualifications to the size of the truth. Don't tell any lies. It will enhance your life. And if it's uncomfortable, just deal with it. Number 10 is do not covet. When you chase after what other people have, you are creating incredible emotional strain on yourself. Live your life, not someone else's life. Enjoy what Hashem has provided for you. Your emotional strain does not make the world a better place. Commandments 3, 2, and 1 are: don't take the name of the Lord in vain. Don't make or follow idols. The Jewish God is the one and only. Saying, "Damn it, I struck out," is not taking the name of the Lord in vain. Saying Allah Akbar just before slitting someone's throat is taking the name of the Lord in vain. Idols are not just statues of Buddha and others. Idols are also money, fame, power, beauty, longevity, and other worldly pursuits that ultimately mean nothing. You can achieve success, but do so without an addiction to it. The Jewish God as the one and only was extremely radical when introduced by Abraham 3,000 years ago, because at the time there were over 50,000 gods that people worshipped. And today it's even more radical because the Jews worship a God that is neither physical nor part of time. That's a very difficult concept to grasp, but nevertheless true. Now you've heard all of the 10 commandments, so I ask you, are there any commandments you would remove? Are there any commandments you would add? Jewish scholars have debated these two questions for a few thousand years, and they've concluded that the 10 commandments pretty much covers everything. Now it's up to you to try to live up to them, to join a tribe, unique in the world in its own way, in bringing the world into a better place. My 2-sentence explanations are extremely simplified, but that's Jewish thought for you. Every question between two Jews always has at least 3 answers, and all the answers lead to a better world. I consider myself a Torah-believing, non-observant Jew. I do many Jewish rituals and study Torah every day. I don't keep kosher, drive on the Sabbath, and don't pray 3 times per day. But I do know that with every daily mundane action, I'm taking the world into a better place. You also are non-observant, but you don't believe in the Torah, or you would be studying it. So you are living a life that most of the time does not make the world a better place. Studying Torah does not necessarily mean reading the Torah itself. Reading a book on the 10 Commandments, or on Abraham, or on Moses, is studying Torah. Next week, I'll be discussing the pit, which is currently where you live. Judaism is your path out of the pit. The tribe is waiting for you, but you're the one who has to go for it. Why not go for it now? Shalom. See you next week.